This is the Financially Simple Podcast, the show dedicated to destroying the complexities of money for today's small business owner. The content in the show is for informational purposes only. This show is not investment advice. Instead, seek help from a competent financial advisor or conduct your own due diligence. Justin Goodbread, CFP, is an investment advisor representative of Heritage Investors, a registered investment advisor only conducting business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Here's your host, pizza-loving, certified financial planner, Justin Goodbread.
And welcome back to the Financially Simple Podcast and Vlog. As we talked about now, we're recording this for YouTube. If you want to see my beautiful face, check over our YouTube channel. While you're there, please subscribe. Let me know what you think. We have lots of little short videos over there as well. We're doing our best to bring you some information, and I'm trying to make it fun and enjoyable. I know money stinks. It's awful. It drives us crazy. So I realize that. We're continuing our deep dive today in cash flow as part of discussion for business owners. Look, we're talking about a personal cash flow. What I want to talk about is how often should I evaluate my budget? You're like, Justin, you're back on the B word again. Yeah, I know. So in the last few episodes, we've talked about things like, should I rent my house? How about if I pay my kids? And as I was talking through this, one of the team members, they said, well, Justin, if you now employ some of these strategies, and you just gave two, if you employ some of these strategies, should you revisit your budget? Like, absolutely. So they said, well, how often? I've never talked about how often we should deal with our budget, or how often we should evaluate. When I'm talking about evaluate, I'm not talking about monitoring like the software packages I've talked about in the past. About, you hook your budget up to like our planning software, for example, we utilize with all our business owners. We can track their budget real time. I'm not talking about tracking. I'm talking about seeing if you should adjust your budget in any way. Should you pay more toward your house? Should you invest more? Should you, and the list goes on and on. So I want to give you 12 times that you should stop and take a hard look at your budget. 12 times you should stop. Number one, when you get a raise. Well, Justin, I'm a business owner. I never get a raise. Yeah, you do. Come on. I know better than that. You may not pay yourself a W-2, or you may not pay yourself a consistent draw. You should, by the way, pay yourself a consistent draw, but you may end up doubling the size of your business. And all of a sudden now your net income is higher than what you anticipated. Now's the time to go in and adjust your budget. You may have a spouse who is not working in the business. Now, remember we talked about a while back that you probably should hire your spouse, and that's going to be a reason to change your budget around because your taxes are going to change. But maybe you have a spouse not working in the business and they got a pay raise or they got a pay cut. That's the time to look at your budget, which is number two, take a pay cut. If your business is not doing well for whatever reason, you got to take a pay cut. Now's the time to reassess your budget and see what it's going to take to operate your home at a bare minimum. Your spouse gets a pay cut from work. Now's the time to take a hard look at your budget and see what you've got to do to tighten the belt down. What happens if your spouse loses a job or you lose a job? Somebody loses a job. You say, well, Justin, I'm the business owner. I can't lose a job. Sure, you can. You have that concentrated customer issue to where all your revenue comes from one customer. And somehow that customer gets teed off at you. They are ticked. I'm talking about flaming mad, like Yosemite Sam, man. Yosemite Sam, I was talking to my kids about him the other day, where he just blew his top off. I mean, you got a customer that's that mad at you and they're like, we are done and out of here. Okay. Whenever that happens, it's time to take a look at your budget. What happens if your emergency funds drop? Yeah, you built the emergency fund up. We talked about a while back about growing the emergency fund. And now all of a sudden life happened. A meteor fell and hit your roof. The air conditioner goes out. The car transmission goes out. You're driving from your house in South Georgia to your house in Tennessee, and the engine blows up in your car and you have to go use a credit card to pay it. Yeah, personal experience there. Whenever life happens, time to take a look at your budget because you may need to redeploy some dollars to rebuild your emergency fund. You just may need to do that. What about number 5, when you have a baby? New life. So many of our business owners are under the age of 40. In fact, I had a business owner in my office last week who's 40, and he and his wife just had a beautiful baby boy. Beautiful baby boy. I told him, I said, dude, I do not envy you. I do not want to be 40 years old having a baby. One of my dear friends I grew up with in South Georgia with, his birthday's a day behind mine. He's 40 as well. They're having a baby. He'll be 41 before the baby's born. Now's the time to look at your budget. What happens if you get married? Maybe you get married or you move in together. you and your love of your life, your significant other. We work with many clients who are married, and we work with many clients who are cohabitating. We do. Whenever you do that, you have to look at your budget. It may be if you're cohabitating and you're not married at this point, it may be to where we have to set up a third budget. You have your person, he or she has their person, or now you have a joint account that you're operating both budgets out of. You both pour money into it and you operate the household expenses. That's a cohabitating budget. What happens if you get divorced or you break up and you move out? Yep. Time to look at the budget again. Yeah, and that one sucks. It really does. I've helped many times here recently, help business owners. I've helped them break their marriage up as an expert witness in court. I've served as an expert witness many times now. And man, I'll tell you, it's sad. But one of the things you have to do is you have to look at your budget. Now, to a happy note, let's say you finally bought that dream house or you move locations. You've got a new house. You got a new apartment. Yep. Time to look at your budget. What if you move? You didn't buy a house, but you moved locations. Maybe you took a new job in a new city. Hey, before you move to that city, look at the budget. I've got a client who's moving from Nashville, Tennessee. They own a house. They're moving from Nashville to where they currently live, and now they're moving to Texas in about 9 months. We're already planning the cash flow for their Texas lifestyle. Very similar economics, a little different structure. As far as cash flow, a little bit different because of the way that the Nashville marketplace versus the Texan marketplace has grown the last little bit. But we're already planning out their budget 9 months ahead of time.
You're listening to the Financially Simple Podcast. Show your support by subscribing to this and our other educational business channels at financiallysimple.com.
What happens if you paid off your debt? Praise Jesus. You've been following my debt course. I know many of you have purchased the debt course and you're a business owner. And this isn't Dave Ramsey, guys. This is Dave Ramsey on steroids. We're trying to figure out how to get out of debt. And you want to get out of debt. You want to do it smart. You want to pull taxes into play. And you finally paid off your last debt. It is done. Sweet Jesus. Hallelujah. Time to look at the budget. Do you increase your lifestyle at this point? Do you not? Do you invest more? It depends on where you're at in life. And the budget's going to be paramount in helping you make that decision. After a major tragedy, I have a client who went through some of the hurricanes in Texas and the flooding in Texas. I have a client who's dealing with some flooded crops right now. We have lots of business owners who are all over the place. Sometimes life just happens. I have a very dear client of mine. I love her to death. I would do anything for this family. She lost her husband at a young age with 3 boys. Broke my heart. I still get just knowing the pain that she's gone through. We had to work on the budget. You have to. So when major tragedy hits, I know budgeting is the least thing from your mind, but you have to work on it. Whenever you receive an inheritance. This last year, I received an inheritance from a very dear family member of mine. Passed away unexpectedly and left my brother, sister, and I a little bit of inheritance. We all had to take a time out and say, okay, what are we going to do with the money? What are we going to do with it? How does it affect our cash flow? One of the episodes we have coming up, we're actually going to deal with that. What do you do when you receive an inheritance? What do you do? We're going to talk about that in detail because that's part of cash flow. That's money coming into our life. Any of the 12 things I've just provided you are time to evaluate your budget. And what you're going to evaluate is simple. It's simple. You're going to make sure that you are paying down the right amount of debts and you're investing and you're keeping your cash flow at a minimum so you can maximize your tax planning. Taxes are the key. As I mentioned in the last episode, I was talking with a CPA in a joint meeting with a CPA tax attorney, myself and a client. And the CPA made a comment that I've heard many times him say, and he said, the Internal Revenue Code is the number one resource for building wealth in our society today. The first time he said that to me, I thought he was smoking crack. But the more I've listened to him, and I've realized he's accurate. He's accurate. So you want to create a budget. You want it to be tax sensitive. And if you're like, Justin, I don't have a clue how to even make a budget. Hey, reach out. This is what we do day in, day out. The budget is fundamental. I'll give you this last example and I'll shut up. In a real life situation, we are working 5 clients that are new clients that came in last month, 5 clients through the personal financial planning section. So we took their entire lives, we put into our personal planning software. Our planner, Michael, is actually programming the software and we're showing them their future. We're showing their future if they do some things. And in every single one of those cases, whenever we updated with the information they told us, which was on the budget, whenever we went through that, came to be they were spending more money than they thought. All 5 cases. And these are individuals who are highly educated, many of them with 8 and 10-year degrees that are producing $200,000-$400,000 in revenue to their person through their businesses. So these are successful business owners. And in every single case, they did not have a clue on what they were spending. And in every case, we had to modify the projections. And in every case, we're going to have to help them budget. Budget's not a bad word, friends. It's a liberating word. The more you know how to budget and you know how to utilize the cash flow properly, what we were able to actually show them is by budgeting properly and deploying the right amount of assets to the right location, the right amount of dollars into the right location. Not only were we able to help them hit their goals individually, these 5 couples better and more efficient, but we are also able to help them reduce their taxes. So the budget is the cornerstone of your financial plan. Your financial plans are right. I can promise you it's because of your budget. I can promise you it is. Like, man, Justin, I didn't realize you'd harp on budget so much. Yeah, after today's episode, I probably won't talk about it at least for a week. Just joking. But I wanted to give you some times when you should evaluate your budget. You know, we all deal with life. We all do. We plan for the worst and hope for the best. We all do that. When it comes to life, life is going to hit us like a ton of bricks in the face. A Mack truck coming down the road going to run us over at some point. I want to be prepared for that. I want you to succeed. Friends, you can succeed on your journey to where you're headed. You can do it best with a coach. You say, Justin, I don't have a coach. Reach out to us. We know what we're doing. We have an awesome team. We have planners all around the country. You may work for myself even if you needed to. We have lots of folks that we can help. You say, Justin, I just heard you on the podcast. I've been listening to you. Had somebody reach out to us last November. Said, man, I love your podcast. Help me. We've already changed this guy's trajectory massively just by getting his life in order. And he wrote me an email. I said, buddy, thank you so much for the input that you and your company have had. Your team is awesome. I mean, just amazing to hear people just their lives change. Friends, you can. The budget is the cornerstone of your finances. So I say it every week. Life is hard. Life is good. Life can be frustrating. Money, budgets, they don't have to be. We're going to continue to make our lives at least financially simple. Y'all go out and create an awesome day today.
You've been listening to the Financially Simple Podcast. For more business and personal financial help and information, head over to financiallysimple.com today.